This video is a small introduction to Orange. Now, Orange is a piece of software that allows for graphical computing. So instead of writing code, you just drag these nodes onto a canvas, and behind the scene that generates some Python code, and that does all your data science for you. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to do a small linear regression model and compare that to a random forest model just on some test data. Now, in my unit, of course, we'll use Julia, Python, R, the Wolfram language, but sometimes we just want to get things going quickly and just have a look at a quick model, and for that we use Orange. Now, Orange produces wonderful output, wonderful plots and graphs, so sometimes that's quite enough to do, but sometimes it's just something quick and easy just to get going. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to create those two models. So we're going to ingest the data, we're going to do the normal descriptive statistics and a bit of data visualization. We're going to create the models, and then we're going to compare them as far as the receiver operating characteristic curve or the area under the curve then, and a scatter plot just to see the two classes that we're going to deal with, as well as a confusion matrix. So we can just compare these models, and it's really very easy. We're just going to drag some icons onto a canvas, and that's going to do all the computation for us. I've opened my browser and I've navigated to orange.biolab.si, and this is where you can download Orange. Of course, if you have Anaconda installed, you can use it right from Anaconda. But if you want a separate download, it's as easy as clicking on download and just following the instructions. They've got a lovely blog that is kept quite up to date, and there's some lovely tutorials there, or at least reference to tutorials, and they've also got a YouTube channel. So I've downloaded and installed Orange, and this is what it looks like when you open it. And you can see there video tutorials there on YouTube, get started, some examples, documentation, and all we're going to do is just to create a new blank worksheet there. And on the left hand side, you'll see there's a couple of tabs. There's a data tab, and it shows you all these nodes that you can drag onto the canvas. Some visualization nodes. You see the bar plot, box plot, and that's how everything works. You just drag these icons to the screen, to your blank canvas here, and you do some data analysis. So the first thing we're going to do is just to import a CSV file. So right under data, there's CSV. Now what I could also do is just double click, or right click I should say, that's two fingers on my Mac here. Click with two fingers, but right mouse button, and you can just start typing. So it is CSV file import, that is going to be right at the bottom, but all these icons on the left hand side, these nodes, they're all in this little search box, and the one we're going to go for is a CSV file, and there it is. And we're going to place it here on the left hand side. You can place it anywhere, but we're going to build the tree structure towards the right as we do our analysis. So let's double click on that node, and we can import a file. So I'm going to click there on Browse My File System, and I've navigated here to the file that I'm going to use, and that's it. It's a comma separated value file. Now, the CSV file import gives you some options here in case your separation wasn't just commas, but it might have been tabs, etc. And you can see down here a very quick just view of the first couple of rows of data. There's gender, height, and weight. And of course, what we're going to do, we're going to predict gender. And this is a binary classification of gender, just to keep things for the sake of keeping it simple. And then there's height, which is a numerical, continuous numerical variable here, and weight, which is also continuous numerical. I don't know who measures height and weight to these extremes, but once again, this is oversimplification just for us to have something to show. So we're going to click OK, and then that's going to import. It says 10,000 rows were imported, 3 features, and there was no metadata there. Again, you can just go back to the import options. There's also the help there, and that's it. It's done, and we can just close that window. So there we go. We can also just have done it with file and just import a file, same story, but then you don't have such absolute control over it. But what you can do here, just to let you know, there's some information there for you, is that you can do a URL as well. So if your CSV file is on the web, you can just go there directly, but we've used the CSV import here. So let's click on that file and just hit the delete key, and it is gone. Now the first thing that we always want to do is just to view the data. We saw a couple of rows there. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to hover here on the right hand side. You see there's a bunch of little marks there. I'm going to click, hold, and drag out. And there we go. Now this selection pane opens again that have got all this, all the nodes there. So I'm going to type data table. There it is on the second one there. So I'll just click it, drag it down a little bit. And if I click on data table, it's actually going to show me this whole CSV file of mine. And you can see we've also visualized the numeric values. So what that does, it draws these little bars underneath. So you can see the bar for 73 there is longer than the bar for 68, or the bar for 241. So this is a bit of visualization. Color by instance class, that's not going to, nothing for us now because we've got all mail at the top. But anyway, we see 10,000 instances, no missing data, 3 features, no target variable, and no meta attributes. So definitely we'll have to do something to select one of these columns as our target variable and the others then as our predictor variables. So let's just close this. And first things first, well, that was first thing, just to view our data, see that it's imported nicely. But for us would just be some descriptive statistics. So I'm just going to drag out again. Just put it right at the top. And it's called feature statistics. Now, it's a bit difficult because in the beginning, you're not going to know the names of these nodes. But it doesn't take too long, and then you know. So feature statistics, double click on that, and there we go. And you can say color by. And color by, of course, you're going to choose a categorical variable. So gender it is. And we see weight there, height. And you see little histograms there of the distribution of weight for male and female, because that's the two that we get. For height we see, and then this is a little bar chart. We can see how many males and females there were. And then we see a bit of descriptive statistics. The center would be the mean, the dispersion, the minimum and maximum values there, and then the percentage missing, the total and the percentage missing. So that's just a nice quick little demonstration there of our descriptive statistics, and that makes it very easy. Of course, once we have our descriptive statistics, we might want to just create a couple of just data visualization. So what about just creating, let's just create a box plot. So let's do box plot. There we go. Now I can rename this. So let's rename this. I'm right clicking on the node itself and I'm going to say rename. And let's say we're going to make this height by gender. So that's the aim, at least, of my box and whisker plot here. So let's double click on it. And what we want to do, well, it seems just to have gotten everything that we do want. So we want this one by height. So that's a little change we had to make. So we want this by height, and the subgroups that we want as gender, and that's the only categorical variable that it could find, so it selected that one by itself. And now we see a box and whisker plot. These are horizontal box and whisker plots. We see the central box there, and we see the whiskers down in this instance to the maximum minimum. And we see here that we're comparing by means, and I can also compare by medians. If I compare by means, it's actually going to do students t-test for me, and it sees the t-statistic there of 95. And that's a highly significant. You see the p-value there less than 0.00001 at least. And you can see quite clearly the distinction between these two. Now what you can also do is generate a little report on this. So if you hit the little report there, you can save that report, and that's going to save an HTML file which you can view later. And you can of course just save this plot. If you click on that, it's going to save the image for you, and you can, as a PNG, as you can see there, but you can also do SVG and PDF. And you save this image, and it's beautiful images, beautiful plots for your report. So let's just do this again. So I'm going to just right click there, and let's type in box this time. So I put my box plot there. Now it's not connected because I just created something blank on the blank canvas, but I can once again go to the right hand side here and just draw out and connect it there to the left hand side. Right click on it. I'm going to say rename, and let's make this weight by gender. Weight by gender. I'm going to call it, that's just a description there for myself, so I can remember when I view this canvas again what I was going to do. Double tap on that, and we want the weight that is selected here, and you can see there, because we're comparing by means, students t-test, the t-statistic again 131, so a big difference between between male and female in this little toy data set. So that would be it as far as descriptive statistics is concerned. We've got our mean and our dispersion or standard deviation, minimum, maximum, etc. And we've got these two beautiful plots as far as our two feature variables are concerned. So let's have a look at what do we want to do now. We want to build a model. So what we can do is let's just tap here on this T. I'm going to hold it down a little bit and let's choose 24 pixel. I want something big. On the T there's obviously some text, and let's click there and let's type in my models. I'm going to create some models down here. So you can do that. Just click off of it and there we go. You can drag it around, and of course you can put in these little colored arrows if you wanted to as well. So that makes it nice just to generate a nice looking canvas here. So the first thing we want to do, we've got to tell Orange here what our feature variable is and what our predictive variables are. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to drag out once again, and let's put it way down here. And what I'm looking for is select columns. Once again, as I say in the beginning, you're not going to really know what all of these nodes do. It just takes a bit of time, or at least you can read on that. So let's double click on that. And it's actually done a good job here. I think it's because I had done this before. Remember, once again, you can generate a report, etc. So for my feature columns, let's select them and put them back. Let's select them all and put them back. So I can just show you if in case you run into this and it looks like this. So I have feature columns up here and I have target ones down here. So I'm going to either just drag height and weight into my feature columns, or I can select it and then just click those little arrows there, and I can also switch those two around. And I don't have to do anything because this little mark here is checked by default. If it's not, then you can say send selection. But if it's done, if it's clicked there, it's automatically going to do what you want it to do without doing much. So now Orange knows, what this is all about, what our feature variables are and what our predictive variables are. Of course, now we've got to do some train and test split. So let's do that. I'm going to drag out again, and what I'm looking for now is data sampler, and it's right there at the top. So let's double click on that. Let's just bring it in. And what I want to do is some cross-validation. You could go for that, some bootstrapping if you want to do that, but let's rather go for fixed proportion. It's going to take 70% of our data, and that's going to go to the training set, and then 30% is going to take as our test set. So let's just say sample the data, and then it's done, and you see out of the 10,000 there's 7,000 selected as our training set. So let's just close up here, and now the next thing we want to do is we want to create a logistic regression model. So let's drag it out, let's drag it down here, and we're going to look for logistic regression. There we go, a logistic regression. Of course, if you click down here, there's models. You'll see all the different types of models there are. Support vector machines, random forest, naive Bayes, AdaBoost, logistic regression. So let's just start with that logistic regression. We can double click on that, bring it in, and you can give it a name there. So if you want a different name, you can see from weak to strong what you want your C variable to be, and you can choose lasso or rich regression. Let's just keep it at L1 regression at the moment. So nothing fancy, but that's where you would set your parameters for your logistic regression. And what we want to do from there is, let's click on here, evaluate, because what we want to do is some predictions. So let's bring it in there. That is going to be our predictions. Now, what we want to bring into the predictions, of course, is two things. One is our logistic regression model, which was trained on the 70% data, and the remaining 30% data we want to bring in as well, so that we can see how well this is doing. So I'm going to connect the logistic regression, and I'm going to select the data sampler. Please remember to do that if you're doing these predictions. So what you want is the 30% that was remaining, connect that to the predictions node and your model to that as well. So if we double click on that, we're going to see what is happening to each and every one of our instances. So it's going to go from row 1. It had a split there, and it's of 0.21 as far as our logistic regression model is concerned, 21% probability there that this is female, and then overwhelming that it's a male, that it's female, I should say. So that's what it predicted. So it's just going to show you this thing, and what it does at the bottom also gives you area under the a curve there for the receiver operating characteristic curve, and that's 97, not too bad. You see your CA, your F1 scores, and then your precision and recall then 92%, 92%. Now, it's not too nice to have it like that. There's a couple of things we can do. Let's create, number one, to visualize this, let's create a scatter plot. It's right at the top for me there. And if I double click on the scatter plot, there you can see. And you can see it's colored for us the regions. Let's just put that off. And you can put different things on the X and the Y axis. I think it would be better for me to have weight on the X axis and then height on the Y axis. That just makes a little bit more sense. You can see female and male there, male colored red, female colored blue, and you can see the predictions. You can see the predictions there. Play around with these. As I said, there's your color regions you can put in. You can put in some grid lines, etc. Show regression lines as well. So, and once again, you can save this as a report, and you can export it as an image. So fantastic there. One more thing that you might want to do is just to have a confusion matrix. So let's take this confusion matrix here. Let's drag that out. And that's a fantastic tool just to evaluate your model. So let's double click on that. And there's our model. And we can select here what we want the output to be. But we can also then see what we want to show. So let's show the number of instances. So 3,160 in my instance here was female and a predicted female. So there's actual here on the, as far as the rows are concerned, and predicted as far as the columns are concerned. And then we see 3,278 were male and they were predicted as male. And then what we could also do is just do that as a proportion. So 92%, 92%, and then 8%, 8%. So that works very well as far as looking at how well your model is doing. Lastly, let's just do an ROC curve. That's always good. So let's just get the ROC curve there. There we go. Double tap on that, and there we see our ROC curve. And you can do all sorts of selections here as far as you can see. And at the moment, the target is male. Let's change that to female. Depending on that type of model you'll build, of course, you'll get different results. So that's fantastic, but let's not stop there. Let's go back to models. Let's just compare our logistic regression model to something else. What should we choose? Random forest. At least that's what's the plan that I had. So let's just draw from the data sampler now to the predictions. Well, that's already done. So what we need to do here is from the data sampler, we're going to draw to a random forest. So 70% of the data is now going to go to random forest. And remember, then we're going to bring it in as well to predictions. Let's just drag it into predictions there. There we go. So let's double tap on the random forest, and you've got a couple of selections there. You can select the number of trees. I'm just going to leave it at the default. And you can number of attributes considered at each split, replicable, training, etc. Do not split subsets smaller than 5. You can also limit the depth of your individual trees. And once again, it's saying there that it's going to take 7,000 of our data values there. So if I look at predictions now, I can see there's a logistic regression column and a random forest column. And you can see the differences there if you were so inclined to run down all of those. But look at this, the AUC of my random forest was 99.8, just at the default. So that's fantastic. And it's doing much better in this toy little data set, at least, than the logistic regression. And because we've just drawn it in, it'll do all of these for you. So in the scatter plot, that's what we have at the moment. And we can choose the logistic regression model there, or we can choose random forest there. Might not be too interesting. Let's look at the confusion matrix. And now we can compare this random forest and logistic regression models as far as our confusion matrix is concerned. And then also the ROC curve. And you can see how much better our random forest is doing. So let's just close that. And that's it. That's how simple it was to build two models and to compare these two models and to say all of these. If I double tap on that, I can export that as a report, and that'll be an HTML report. Have a look at that. Just save it then to your system. And when it comes at least to these lovely plots that we've got here, I really do like the way that these are rendered. And then, of course, you can just click right at the bottom there and save that image. So remember this workflow. It's a very easy workflow once you get used to it. And all you have to do is start looking at these nodes and just start playing with them. And you very quickly learn how to put them together. And there's, of course, a lot of things that you can do as far as changing the data as it comes in, the strain test split, a lot of the nitty-gritty or very quick workflow that you want in the beginning, or you just sort of want to just see where these models are going before perhaps you want to go into Jupyter Notebook or use RStudio or whatever to get some better results or delve into things a bit deeper. This is really fantastic, and for many things, it's the only thing you need to do is just to use Orange and just build your little tree structure here and save all your reporting. So that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed that. If you want me to make some more videos just here on using Orange, as I said, that for me really is something that we always start off with when we build our models, just to see where things are going. And depending on the project, this might be the only thing that we do. So have a look at their website, look at some of the tutorials, look at their lovely, very good YouTube videos. You'll learn a lot from that, and give them a bit of support and spread the news of this tool that's really existed for quite some time. It's certainly nothing brand new, and I'm not sure why I haven't made a video about it yet. Fortunately, I've found some time just away from the hospital at the moment after a long day in theatre, just to do this quick little video. So I hope you enjoyed that. Give it a thumbs up, subscribe, comment, all those good things. Subscriptions always help, and it motivates me to keep making these videos. So thanks for watching. Go use Orange and build some fantastic models.